there, and welcome to our nightly news edition, coming to you live from Algiers. And starting with our news, President Abdelmajid Tebboune, accompanied by Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni, chaired the fifth session of the Algerian-Italian High-Level Government Summit on Wednesday in Rome. President Tebboune had arrived in Rome on an official visit to Italy on Tuesday evening at the head of an important ministerial delegation. The visit bears special importance in strengthening the historical bonds of friendship and enhancing bilateral relations in various fields. Algerian President Mr. Abdelmajid Tebboune, accompanied by Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni, supervised the signing ceremony of partnership agreements and memoranda of understanding in Rome on the occasion of President Tebboune's official visit to Italy. The agreements included the signing of a deal in the field of agriculture and fisheries, a memorandum of understanding in the field of posts and telecommunications, a memorandum of understanding between the Italian Agency for Investment Promotion and the Algerian Investment Promotion Agency, in addition to a memorandum of understanding between Algeria's Sonatrach Group and the Italian company Eni. Another MOU in the field of firefighting, another in the protection of people with disabilities, as well as the signing of a convention in the field of film production. Algerian President Abdelmajid Tebboune affirmed that the official visit he is making to Italy is an important opportunity to share a significant phase that adds new building blocks to bilateral relations, which he described as exemplary. President Tebboune, in a joint press statement with Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni following the chairing of the fifth session of the Algerian-Italian High-Level Government Summit, emphasized that this occasion enabled taking concrete measures to reinforce the long-standing ties between the two countries.
أجدد التعبير عن مشاعر السعادة والارتياح لوجودي مرة أخرى في العاصمة روما بمناسبة الدورة الخامسة للقمة الحكومية الجزائرية الإيطالية. إنها مناسبة تتقاسم فيها لحظة هامة نضيف فيها معا لبنات جديدة لصرح العلاقات النموذجية الجزائرية الإيطالية، ومحطة بارزة في سياق العمل والتنسيق المتواصل لتعزيز وتوسيع الشراكة بين بلدينا الصديقين. في هذه الدورة الخامسة للقمة الحكومية الجزائرية الإيطالية جسدنا خطوات عملية معبرة عن إرادة سياسية راسخة لتقوية علاقاتنا الثنائية التاريخية ولمد المزيد من جسور التعاون ليشمل قطاعات واعدة منها الموارد المائية والزراعة المستدامة والصناعة والنقل والتعاون الثقافي والعلمي.
And in addition to affirming the reliable partnership with friendly Italy and Europe in the field of energy and renewable energy, a matter that is being emphasized today by the signing of numerous agreements of a security, economic and cultural nature.
بالإضافة إلى التأكيد الشراكة الموثوقة مع إيطاليا الصديقة وأوروبا في مجال الطاقة والطاقات المتجددة، وهو الأمر الذي تكرس اليوم فيه التوقيع عن العديد من الاتفاقيات ذات الطابع الأمني والاقتصادي والثقافي.
The President of the Republic expressed confidence as to the outcomes achieved during the summit, translated in the various agreements signed.
وأعرب عن يقيني بأن ما أنجزناه في هذه القمة، سواء تعلق الأمر بالاتفاقيات القطاعية الموقعة أو بنتائج ملتقى رجال الأعمال الجزائري الإيطالي، ما أنجزناه اليوم يفتح آفاق واسعة للشراكة جزائرية إيطاليا، استراتيجية نموذجية تعكس حقاً عمق العلاقات العريقة وروابط الصداقة المتجدرة بين الجزائر وإيطاليا.
Algerian President Abdelmajid Tebboune also called on the international community to assume its political and moral responsibility to end the genocide and ongoing violations against the Palestinian people, while expressing his concern about the general situation in the Middle East. The talks also provided an opportunity to exchange views on the situation in the Sahel.
أن يتحمل المجتمع الدولي مسؤوليته السياسية والأخلاقية لوقف الإبادة والانتهاكات متواصلة ضد الفلسطينيين، وعبرنا في ذات السياق عن قلقنا إزاء الوضع العام في الشرق الأوسط وما يستدعيه من مساع ملحة وعاجلة لتفادي التصعيد وعدم الاستقرار للمنطقة.
President Tebboune also highlighted that the discussions held on the same summit also allowed for an exchange of views on the situation in the Sahel region, as well as on mechanisms to strengthen collective efforts to ensure security, development, and the fight against terrorism in this vital region.
كما سمحت المباحثات بتبادل تصورات حول الوضع في منطقة الساحل وآليات تعزيز الجهود الجماعية لضمان الأمن والتنمية ومكافحة الإرهاب في هذه المنطقة الحيوية.
And with regard to the Sahrawi conflict, President Tebboune expressed both countries' support to the UN-sponsored solution.
وبالنسبة للنزاع في الصحراء الغربية، جددنا التأكيد على دعمنا المشترك للمبعوث الشخصي للأمين العام للأمم المتحدة من أجل إيجاد حل سياسي عادل وفق الشرعية الدولية يمكن الشعب الصحراوي من ممارسة حقه غير القابل للتصرف في تقرير المصير.
And Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni affirmed that Algerian-Italian friendship has reached unprecedented levels of cooperation, noting that Algeria is an important strategic partner for her country. During the joint press conference with President Tebboune, Meloni highlighted Algeria's support for Italy since the start of the war in Ukraine, just as Italy had stood by Algeria before its independence and during the days of terrorism. Meloni emphasized that President Tebboune is highly competent and that relations between the two countries continue to grow stronger. She also expressed confidence that what was achieved during the high-level joint government summit will open new horizons for a strategic partnership.
With President Tebboune, we had a long discussion on foreign policy. He has a clear vision and great expertise in this area. We also discussed issues of stability and security in the Mediterranean. All these subjects are part of the signed agreements and memoranda of understanding on the strengthening of defense, the coordination in the fight against terrorism, as well as the cooperation in the fight against illegal immigration.
The Algerian President Abdelmajid Tebboune was received in the capital, Rome, by Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni. The reception ceremony took place at the historic palace Villa Doria Pamphili, which hosted the proceedings of the fifth session of the Algerian-Italian High-Level Government Summit. Following the reception, Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni showed President Abdelmajid Tebboune the ancient history and the surroundings of the magnificent Doria Palace, where the fifth bilateral government committee convened. Algerian President Abdelmajid Tebboune received an official welcome on Wednesday in Rome from his Italian counterpart Sergio Mattarella as part of his state visit to Italy. The official ceremony took place at the Quirinal Palace in line with Italian protocol and traditions. Later, President Tebboune held a private meeting with President Mattarella before expanding the talks to include the two countries' delegations. And at the closing session of the Algerian-Italian Business Forum, which he attended alongside Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni, President Tebboune expressed his gratitude for her efforts to strengthen the partnership between the two countries, praising her political acumen. He stressed that Algeria is experiencing economic momentum across all sectors and enjoys strong financial credibility. He reaffirmed Algeria's commitment to reviving its industrial sector on sustainable foundations and voiced interest in benefiting from the Italian expertise. Algerian Minister of State, Minister of Foreign Affairs Ahmed Attaf, and Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation of the Italian Republic, Antonio Tajani, presided over the opening of the Algerian-Italian Business Forum on Wednesday morning. The forum sees significant participation from Algerian and Italian businessmen who discuss investment opportunities and new partnerships between the two countries across various sectors and ways to strengthen them. In a speech on the occasion, Algerian Minister of State and Minister of Foreign Affairs Ahmed Attaf reaffirmed the importance of the level of Algerian-Italian partnership, calling on Italian businessmen to invest in Algeria, stressing that investment in Algeria is profitable and guaranteed. Algerian Minister of State, Minister of Foreign Affairs Ahmed Attaf held bilateral talks on the sidelines of the Algerian-Italian Business Forum with Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation of the Italian Republic Antonio Tajani. The two sides discussed bilateral relations, existing partnership opportunities, and ways to strengthen them. The Algerian President Mr. Abdelmajid Tebboune will today pay a visit to Pope Leo XIV in Vatican City on the occasion of his official visit to Italy, according to a statement from the Algerian presidency. That's a wrap for tonight's news, but stay here for a special coverage to talk in depth about Algerian-Italian relations in this context. Algerian President Mr. Abdelmajid Tebboune is in Italy on an official visit. He's leading Algeria's delegation at the 5th high-level Algerian-Italian Government Summit. The visit underscores a growing strategic partnership between Algiers and Rome. It's no longer just about trade or agreements. It's about political trust, shared regional views, and joint security and development goals. Algeria is now seen as a key player in the region and a vital partner for Mediterranean and African stability. The summit crowns years of close coordination. Both countries aim to shape a Euro-Mediterranean space built on dialogue, balanced interests, and mutual respect. We'll break down the strategic messages behind this visit and what it means for the region in this special coverage. Earlier today, President Tebboune was received with full honors by Italian President Sergio Mattarella at the Quirinal Palace in accordance with Italian protocol and traditions. Meanwhile, in Rome, the Algerian-Italian Business Forum has kicked off as part of Tebboune's official visit. The event is being overseen by Algerian Foreign Minister Ahmed Attaf and Italian Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation Antonio Tajani. To discuss all of this and analyze the visit and its implications, I'm joined by Mr. Abdel Nour Toumi, geopolitical analyst from Paris. Hello and welcome.
Good evening, and thank you for having me on the program.
Thank you for joining us, and we're also pleased to welcome Mr. Mohamed Chris Sassi, joining us from New York, geopolitical analyst and economic expert. Thank you for joining us.
Good evening. Thank you for the invite, and thank you also to my brother to be here. Salam alaikum, Toumi.
Thank you. So first, gentlemen, I'd like to ask this question to Mr. Toumi. What is the significance of President Tebboune's visit to Italy in the current regional and international context, and also amid tensions with France?
Actually, it is unprecedented in this speedy dynamic of the relations between the two countries, that in fact they have a long history that is based on mutual respect and understanding. But what has happened in the last 5 years or so, but particularly since 2022, with the arrival of Miss Meloni to rule the government, the Italian government. And there is an interesting element in here, and to make a parallel about France. It is, in fact, I mean, her political background is a far-right movement that is on race in Europe. But what is interesting in her dynamic and her way of ruling her country is unlike the discourse or the rhetoric of, I would say, dogmatic ones. It is a pragmatic one. And this is what has made her foreign policy, actually parameters, very interesting, dealing with the North African countries, and whether with Algeria or Libya and Tunisia. And matter of fact is she knew that has a big challenge dealing with the migrant issue, and that actually what was actually the selling point of the far right parties in Italy. But what she has, and again about it is an interesting persona in this the center of the relations between not only with Algeria but with other, as I said, North African countries. So she kept her coalition intact, and she is moving her pawns slowly toward progressive relations with countries like Algeria, that she knows that Algeria is a pivotal state on its geopolitics and geoeconomics space. And also there is the role of the Italian Foreign Affairs Minister, Mr. Antonio Tajani, or Tijani, because I believe he has some Arabs origin, I mean his name. So he knows well himself also that he needs to enhance their relations with North African countries, and notably countries like Algeria. Now, as far as the France politics goes, as we know, France now is actually losing its hegemony, and its diplomacy is on decline, whether in the Maghreb or in the Sahel, and not to mention its, and current foreign policy in Europe. And this brings this rivalry that was actually created between the Italian Prime Minister, Ms. Meloni, and actually President Macron in time where they were dealing with some, in fact, issues of the migrant. So to sum up all this, there is this dynamic that has been going on between Algeria and Italy, and this is because of the role of these two characters in or persona in the Italian foreign policy is the Prime Minister and her foreign affairs. On the other hand, the Algerians did understand very well in time of an international politics that is in deep trouble, and if not leading toward a chaotic paradigm, is setting its foreign policy based on multilateralism and also diversification of partners. And this is what has made Algeria's foreign policy to flourish and have an echo with countries, Italian countries like Italy. I'm sorry, European countries like Italy.
Like Italy. Mr. Chris, how does this fifth Algerian-Italian government summit reflect the evolution of bilateral relations between Algeria and Italy?
Well, everything, I should say, it's based on economic. As far as we are concerned, at the present day, the strategic partnership between Algeria and Italy has experimented a notable surge in recent years, propelled by the evolving geopolitical landscape and dynamic shift in global energy markets. A series of high-level military visits, particularly with Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni. She did understand the geostrategic position of Algeria as well as the economical need. And this is why I think her engagement under the ambition, what you call the Mattei plan, who underscore not only a reaffirmation of their establishment, but also a very deep and a need for an expansive ambition for long-term collaboration. Then you have, of course, at its core, the relationship between Algeria and Italy is fundamentally anchored in strategic energy cooperation. I can go back to the number in detail later on, but I would like to say, erect here the point that it has become increasingly pronounced in Italy that they are concerned with the effort of the diversification of their energy policy, their energy sourcing, and to reduce their dependence on Russian natural gas, regard the problem that you are facing now in Ukraine, so on and so forth. And it was a good opportunity that solidified the Algerian position as one of the primary natural partner for the supplying of the energy. For example, this energy interdependence is reinforced by the deepening investment of the company ENI, the Italy energy giant like the Sonatrach in Algeria. ENI has significantly expanded his investment within Algeria hydrocarbon sector and taking the place basically of France, who was, of course, always thinking that they were the only one, that Algeria cannot do without it. Unfortunately, they find out the hard way that we grow up, we're a sovereign country, and you find a new partner that respect us as we respect them. What is in it for us is not like France, what is in it for me. The relation between Italy and Algeria is what is in it for us. And this come the main pipeline of the relation. Of course, you have also, I talk the critical role of what you call the Transmed pipeline, for example. This is the Trans-Mediterranean pipeline that will connect Algeria directly to Italy, going through Tunisia. Then, of course, we have the short-term impact, since we talk about the relation and the future relation. The short-term is the inherent energy dependence between the two nations. Prime Minister Melanie ambition with the Matignon plan, as I said, she thinks also about Africa. And she knows that through Algeria, she can also have a strategic position with Africa, using Algeria as a bridge
to Africa,
European and North Africa. And that, of course, is a brilliant future. I said you have the investment, you have the respect for each other in terms of negotiation. And as I said, it's not the I of France, for example, it's the we of Italy and Algeria. And it's very important. And also, if I add a thing, I talk about energy, but you have also the importance of the defense and security cooperation. Alongside energy and economic initiative, there is a discernible growing interest in joint counter-terrorism effort, particularly giving Algeria critical proximity to the Sahel region. And you all, the listener, I'm sure, are aware of what's going on with the Sahel region. It becomes very critical. And as my friend, Dr. Toumi was saying, the program of migration, and most of the migration in Italy comes from the Sahel region. And then, of course, the causality of that, now you have the intelligence sharing, you have the border security assistance, you have the maritime cooperation. So the scope of a combination of the energy, economical energy, and the security cooperation between the two countries, I think they are really beginning the pineapple of what should be a good relation. And if you go back to history, Italy and Algeria have a long history dating from the 7th century, 8th century,
until nowadays.
During the Islamic progression. Yes, go ahead. Yes.
So, Mr. Toumi, what does Italy's description of Algeria as an indispensable strategic partner reveal about their relationship, since we're talking about partnerships and cooperation?
Actually, it is important, and especially in these troubling times that international politics is going through. So Italy looks to Algeria, since Algeria is a stable country and a resident state in the region, and also regional power. So, and Algeria also has a solid stake to play in its geopolitical landscape. And here we have mentioned the Sahel, and which has become a serious place in international politics, I mean, in regional politics and also in international politics, because here we see there are like superpowers who are having an eye in the region, and notably China, and particularly recently the US, and with the last visit of the Africa Special Envoy to Mali, in which this country is, unstable and on the edge to become a failure state, in which Algeria is directly concerned because it's a matter of national security. And now Italy also looks to to Algeria from this perspective as stabilizing the country, and also the role of Algeria as a stabilizer and a trustworthy mediator to bring stability, peace and stability and development in the region. Now in that, Italy has now a base in Niger, and in which Italy is also directly concerned about the migrant issue, in which this humanitarian tragedy that has become a national security issue for the countries in the region, notably Algeria, so that the European countries and Italy, particularly Italy, who has actually a specific policy when it comes to the migrant issue. And this is why Italy is dealing with Algeria on one hand and dealing with Libya on the other hand, looking at Libya also as trying to help the Libyans with Algeria to have stability and this political impasse that the Libyans have been going through for decades or so. So this is why Italy looks at Algeria as a stabilizing country on one hand, and also this has become an access. This access between Rome and Algiers could play a major role in stabilizing the sub-regional order.
Speaking about this context, how do Algiers and Rome align on the Libyan crisis, and what distinguishes their approach from other players?
Actually, both they are working very hard to bring the two belligerent in Libya, the West and the East, to have, to break through, first of all, these political impasse that have been going through in the last 10 years, but particularly in the last 5 years. And there is, because of, there are other regional and international powers who have been playing or having a task in it, but not being too seriously looking for the stability of Libya and for the best of the Libyan people. Like Algeria particularly has been doing that since the crisis broke through, and trying to have a solid hand by bringing the Libyans together with, of course, the help of the UN or the UN Special Envoy. And unfortunately, Libyans, the UN mission in Libya, and the UN has been sending more now, but I think they are in their 9th UN Secretary General Special Envoy, who has not, again, as we say, who hasn't delivered. So the Libyans, the Italians, and with the Algerians now, and other actors such as Turkey and also Tunisia is also playing a major role, and trying to bring the Libyans together with to implement the UN initiative and push for first of all, elections, municipal elections, and then bring the Libyans together. To have a peaceful Libya. So,
Mr. Toomey, now speaking perhaps about the situation in the Sahel and also the Sahrawi issue, how consistent are the two countries' positions on these two?
Actually, the Western Sahara dossier is actually sacrosanct for Algeria. It's a matter of a decolonization process, and this is why Algeria has been actually pushing very hard through the UN and through the African Union, and also with other countries, and such as Italy now, to have again, to push for a peaceful solution for this conflict that has been going on for more now for 5 decades. But as far as the Sahel goes, there are new parameters here, and there are other actors who have actually emerged in this instability that was caused, of course, by political instability in those countries, such as Niger, Mali, and Burkina Faso. Burkina Faso is doing better than those two countries. So, and this is as a result of the role of France that has been playing kind of a double standard policy. Actually, on one hand, it's trying to bring stability, but quote unquote development. On the other hand, taking sides, and like we saw how France has, wasn't sincere in its policy with whether in Chad and or Mali and to Niger, and this is why now France has totally lost. Its I won't say 100% loss its hegemony, because it still has some remnants and active remnants, whether here in Paris, lobbying for, to contain the role of countries like China, Russia, and Turkey, and even the Emirates. But Algeria is the pivotal state in this equation, and Algeria must have the say, and this is why we saw in the last initiative of President Abdelmajid Tebboune for, he offers another mediation role, or to play facilitator role in the Malian crisis, in which, and again, Algeria is directly concerned about the stability of those regions. So today, Italy, on the other hand, is on the same page like Algeria, pushing for this to bring development and stability. In other terms, to push for a peace diplomacy.
Peace diplomacy. Now let's get back to Mr. Chris. Do you think that Algeria and Italy can share and or develop a shared vision for Mediterranean and African security?
It's a question that is very difficult to answer. You have the risk of security, of the security in the region because of the Sahel. You have a main player like Algeria that nobody can ignore. But you have Italy that is also part of NATO, and you have to take it in consideration. This is why you have a strategy that is good, that is going to be in place, but you have to be cautious. Why I'm saying that? I say that because we have the potential, and you have the challenges on both countries, despite the fact that they would like to be together and do it together. But you have, for example, the bureaucratic inertia and governance in Algeria, the administration of Algeria. And you have also the domestic politically volatility in Italy. Don't forget that the First Minister Meloni, she was elected on a program voicing her anti-Islamic view, voting her anti-immigration tenure, and that we cannot, consider it as a full partner, at least for now, without ignoring this issue. And you have, like Dr. Toumi said as well, you have the competing foreign influence. The region that you are talking about is a hotbed of competing geopolitical interests for major global regional power, including France, China, Turkey, Russia, and this influence can complicate, yes, I think is the right word that I'm using.
The situation is difficult. Maybe, Mr. Toumi, what is your take on this very specific question?
As Mr. Sessi said, it is complicated and complex because it depends on the major interests and priorities of each country. Sure, Algeria has an eye on its northern border, on the Mediterranean, and it is in fact, by geography and geopolitics, it is a major player in the Mediterranean landscape geopolitics. Whereas Italy is, of course, in NATO member and serious and active European Union. European member, and has its strategy goes actually north and to south and vice versa. And now in that there are NATO base in Italy. But when it comes to the stability and the security, both countries are in fact concerned because of their national security and national interest. And this is why actually the major, like for the Europeans and particularly the Italians, as I said, the main threat they see coming from the south is the migrants. And of course, how do you call that? The supranational terrorist groups. It is considered as a direct threat to Italy, to Europe, as it is in fact to Algeria. Coming from these, as I said, unstable region in the Sahel, and this is why Italy, as a major player or a EU member, is looking to or dealing with Algeria as a serious and regional power on its landscape, and especially when it comes to the fight of these transnational terrorist groups, that Algeria has solid experience and a successful story dealing with that, and many countries are looking to the Algerian model. So this, when it comes to the migrant issue, it is also another threat that both countries are fighting and looking for solutions. And this is, we saw how the Italians, actually Ms. Meloni has initiated even a program with Tunisia and Libya to contain these, again, human tragedy. So, but what is interesting here, both countries are not looking from the integral perspective on on their landscape. Both countries, are dealing on the bilateral level because they know that this is it's a matter of mutual interest. Based on respect.
Now, Mr. Chris, what role could Algeria play in Italy's Mattei plan for Africa? And are we seeing the rise of a new Euro-African axis, according to you?
I don't think you are not there yet. I think, yes, between Italy and Algeria, you have 20 billion, which is a significant
volume
trade between the two countries. Is that yet the case in Algeria? Italy is using, I reiterate what I said before, is using the position of Algeria to get to the market of Africa. Because Italy was also part of, we talk about the colony of France in Algeria, but don't forget that Italy left scars that still hurting the history of Libya. When Mussolini decided to go and invade Libya to create the same empire, colonial empire, that Italy was jealous, the one of France and England. Therefore, I guess, yes, we should concentrate to develop with Italy our trade. As I said before,
Understood.
you cannot
maybe
integrate.
just, since we don't have much time, just to talk a little bit about the partnership, the economic partnership between Algeria and Italy. Can we say that it is now diversified beyond energy, or does energy remain its backbone?
Now the energy, yes, remain the main, but you have to look beyond that. Now you have the mechanical appliance, you have the electrical equipment, you have the vehicle and transport coming from Italy to Algeria. You have also cooperation of agricultural and food product. And all this, let me think that you have the diversification, and down the line, the oil will not represent 90% of our exchange, but maybe I'm going to say the number of 50, maybe 40%, because we are going to have this diversification, as I just was saying, in industry, in automobile, in agriculture, etc., etc. And as I said before, with Italy is a very honest and understanding that what is in it for us, not for I as Algeria or for I as Italy. The proximity of the two countries, the market that Algeria represents for Italy, the bridge, what the market can represent for Italy in Africa.
Understood.
All of this is, and of course, you have the corridor, the trade corridor, the trans-Mediterranean logistics, not only for the pipeline, but it can go also in all over Africa. At least I am hoping that it will happen, and I was very skeptical when Georgia was elected, but now I should say that she surprised me. She's not in Marine Le Pen of France. No, she understands. I will conclude saying she and Tebboune are saying the same thing. We don't have common. We don't have we don't have enemies. We don't have friends.
Ms. Chris, we are unfortunately running out of time. So if you want to add any last remark, Mr. Toumi as well.
Actually, yeah, I mean, these relations, I mean, need to be enhanced and continue, and particularly in time of this international politics that is going on, leading toward chaos. And also it's a strong message for Paris now to reset its foreign policy toward the Maghreb and the entire North Africa. And this is, I mean, now in that this pivotal axis between Algiers and Rome, it is a serious matter that sure, I mean, has an echo in Brussels.
Thank you very much, gentlemen, for the insights. Unfortunately, we're running out of time. And thank you, dear viewers, for your attention. Until next time, take care.